When you first start, sometimes your results are going to be insanely flashy, but most of the time, the first thing you try is going to be a dumpster fire. Well, good morning and hello, and welcome to the Coach's Plaza. We're talking resilience, and we're going to get started today about talking about not just resilience, but relentlessness, relentlessness. So we're going to dive into this because if you've wondered how some coaches just stay in the game year after year, and they seem to go no matter what, then this is the live stream to tune into. I am so excited about this particular episode because I got to tell you the truth, which is that building a coaching business is no joke. Okay, there's going to be ups and there's going to be downs. There's going to be these high highs and low lows. And if we don't talk about how to handle them in advance, you're more likely to take a low very badly, and you can even take a high very badly. So we're gonna unpack it. Before we do, let me know in the chat what kind of coach you are. What is it that you are doing in your business? How do you help people? Because when it comes to this mindset, this grittiness, this grounded energy that it really takes to go the distance with your business, especially if things are going slower than you wanted, especially if you're feeling like you have a lack of clarity, like a lot of people that I work with are still working on their message. Like, what's that resonating message? What's that thing that is going to set me apart from everybody else? Or sometimes stuff is just plain hard. A lot of people are building a business, everybody is building a business in the context of a real life. So a lot of my clients are dealing with, changes in their household. Like, for example, their kids are leaving or their parents are aging. Like, that's just real, isn't it? Hey, good morning. I'm so glad you guys are here. I see everybody tuning in. We got Instagram in the house. I do go live there, but the replay is always going to be in our free group, Clients Over Chaos. You can head over to next5clients.com. That's next5clients.com to request access to the free group. And then you can have this very recording along with our library of other recordings at your fingertips for free. So let's talk about this. I think most marketers and gurus kind of make it sound like you just have to follow a sequence of steps. And hey, look, okay, I super hate throwing rocks. So I also will tell you there's steps. There is for sure a blueprint to building a coaching business. However, I think sometimes we take that blueprint or that simplified model and we think, oh, well, then it should be easy because it's so simple to understand. Is simple the same as easy? Like, is simple the same as easy? Definitely not, right? Like, absolutely. So it's very important that we understand things in a simple way, which is why I'm going to encourage you to master the art of frameworks, really understand how to convey complicated, difficult to understand things in simple step-by-step ways. That's one of the things that will make you an absolute superpower as a coach and as an expert and as somebody that is going to be trusted. And also, building a coaching business is anything but linear. At a minimum, you're going to be iterating. You know what I mean by iterating? You're going to try something. It's going to kind of work a little bit, but it's not going to work all the way. And you're going to be like, did I not follow the recipe right? Did I not do the steps? Oh my God, the gurus lied to me. Oh my God, right? And look, I get that because I've definitely had that particular temper tantrum a time or two. However, what I've learned is no, the path was right. The steps are right. I was actually having this conversation with my partner and my dear husband today that the packaging or the way that you deliver is not actually the big factor. So if you're offering, we were talking about paid advertising, right? I could run ads to download a PDF. I could run ads to join my community. I could run ads to join a challenge. I could run ads to host a webinar. I could run ads to do a quiz. I could run ads to a book. I could run ads to a bundle. And all of those different formats, you can think of that as the packaging of the idea. But if the idea is not good, or rather, if the idea is not clear, then it's not going to be an easy yes. Okay. And what we're going for in our communication with people that we would love to coach, that we would love to support, that we would love to engage with in a deeper way, is we want the yeses to be as clear and actionable and easy as possible. Because how many of you would rather hear an easy yes than fight for a tough no? Right? Like, I'm going to say that again. How many of you would like to do the hard work of learning how to communicate the easy yes versus fighting for the hard no? You know, and like this fighting for the hard no, oh my God, I see it all the time in businesses, in how people will approach to try to sell things to me all the time. You know, just this weekend, I got a message from a guy, no kidding, this is not making it up. I was like, hey, nice to meet you. Thanks for the connection. You know, you're here for the content, you're building a coaching business. That's how I like to open conversations with strangers. And he goes, I don't want any help. I'm just looking for 7-figure joint venture opportunities. And I'm like, whoa, okay, hang on a second. And like, just quick question. Do you think I gave access to this person? Did I give them access to this community? Did I immediately invite that person to come and speak to you? Right? Hell no, right? That's absolutely not. And why? Because, okay, I respect you. The fact that you chose to engage with the Coaches Plaza and me and Chris and like anybody else that you've ever met that has been associated with my brand, I take that pretty seriously. And so like this person comes, you know, out of nowhere, sends me a friend request and is like, oh no, I don't want any help. I just want an introduction to somebody who could take me to 7 figures. What do you think is like wrong with that approach? You know, and here's the thing. I'm going to take this somewhere that you might not be expecting. Okay. This is an example of resilience without relentlessness. Resilience without relentlessness. Let me tell you, it takes some resilience to just pop up in somebody's DMs and just say, I want $1 million. Or I want access to your audience for $1 million, you know, to make $1 million. Like that takes some cojones, you know what I'm saying? Like it takes, like, whether you're a dude or a guy, it takes balls. Like it just, there's a courage that gets activated there. And he overcame a fear of being icky or a fear of being pushy. And he's banking on it being a numbers game. Now, if I really wanted to mess with the poor fellow, I would have said, sure thing. And I would have taken him on a ride, you know, to take advantage of his greed. And like, obviously that's not my style, but I'm thinking like this person is really resilient, meaning he probably gets no's all day long, but he's not necessarily relentless towards his goal, most likely. How do I know that? What's the difference? Well, if he was relentless about the goal, then he would probably be working to optimize it, right? So maybe that is his end intent, to build a relationship that's going to lead to a joint venture that's going to make him his millions of dollars. But if he was relentless, he would not just have the resilience and the courage to pitch, but he would also be really asking more questions like, how can I know that the person, first of all, I don't have a 7-figure audience to give him. So if he was relentless, he would have done a little bit more qualification to find out if I'm even his person, right? Second thing is he probably needs some refinement of how he goes about building the relationship so that people will trust him with their audience. But the thing is, he's skipping past all that. And this is what will happen when you're resilient, but you're not relentless. Relentless means that you're connected to a goal and you will do what it takes. You will make the adjustments that are necessary to achieve said goal. Okay. It's not just about coping. It's also about progressing and challenging. Who's glad they took some time on a Monday to learn about resilience and relentlessness? You know what I'm saying? Yeah. For one thing, there's no generosity. How about being of service? 1,000%, right? So like, I actually know people who do $1 million joint ventures. And you want to know something about those people is that they are very protective of their audience. They do it with, like, the people who do it well repeatedly, they will date potential joint venture partners for a while before they will extend that opportunity, because they know that the cost of a bad relationship far outweighs the benefit of a maybe good one. So I'm kind of the same way. So I've done joint ventureships and partnerships and affiliations with certain brands, but I'm going to tell you, like, it took some relentlessness on my part to figure it out, because the thing is that I always want to give you, as my audience and my community and my clients and everything, like, I want to give you the very, very best of what you need, but I'm not the best for everything you need. Does that track? Right? I'm like amazing for getting clarity with your message, with your conviction and your confidence, and your steps that you need to follow to build like the system. But if, for example, you're looking for, I don't know, a software, that's a really good one. CRM software. Well, I shopped around for ages before I ever made my first software recommendation. And then when I finally did, I actually changed it because I found a better option, right? Because I want to make recommendations that are so good that it reflects well on you, which then reflects well on me. And like that's how you build really good relationships. But I was literally relentless. I still test a lot of different softwares and opportunities. And I go, you know what? No, I'm not going to recommend this to my community because it's not good enough, right? It's not good enough, or it's not aligned enough, for them. So anyway, that's like kind of my real world experience of the difference between resilience and relentlessness. You might need both. Right? And that's how I think of it. It's like alignment is really usually realignment. It's really like coming back to your core, your center, your groundedness, your value system, and then proceeding again. So when I think about resilience, not relentlessness, because we just talked about relentless is like going after the opportunity and just being friggin' stubborn about winning. That's kind of how I think about relentless. But I think like resiliency, it's not just a buzzword, It really is a lifeline, because guess what comes with every coaching business, every personal brand, every entrepreneurial venture? And it's like usually the first hurdle that people have to really walk through. It's rejection, right? And like, that feeling, right? Where you just kind of question your worth and your value, and like, are you doing something that really matters? Like, that's understandable to have those questions, but the thing is how you handle those questions. That's a mark of your resilience. So it's not that you're never disappointed. I think a lot of coaches do a lot of masking, like they pretend like everything is perfect all the time, and they're like, you ask them how it's going, it's amazing. Have you noticed that? Like every coach is like, it's always amazing. They've had the best launch ever, or they just had this incredible podcast interview, or they just went to this, like they don't want to, and honestly, like that's normal social behavior. You don't want to burden somebody with your problems, but like being totally real, a lot of coaches are secretly absolutely sobbing, right? Absolutely sobbing. They are not happy people. And it sucks because they desperately want to be. They desperately want to be. And they're not happy because they're not getting the kind of recognition they want to have for their expertise. Often the finances are coming into the picture, which sucks. Nobody wants to feel sad because of money, right? They often are feeling a level of betrayal in the industry. And like, I know that arguably that launched my whole brand. It's just sort of this feeling of betrayal of like, I was supposed to become a coach. It was supposed to be this next career lifeline. And what the heck do you mean I have to market? What the heck do you mean I have to learn sales skills? Gross, nasty, And so there's a lot of disillusionment that comes from being more serious about the goal. And hey, I'm actually going to tell you, that's not just the coaching industry. That's every industry. That's every endeavor for change. We all start going after change, thinking the grass is so much greener, and we think like, oh, my life will be so much better if, but because it's this lofty thing far away, we don't really know what it looks like. but we're pretty sure it's better than where we stand. So we pursue the goal, we get after it. And I remember doing this the very first time I joined a fitness class. I was like, this is going to be great. I'm going to go from being, a little doughy to just being the svelte, antelope or gazelle or whatever is very svelte. I'm going to be that, because I just signed up for this class. And then I was like so sore after the first class, and I had terrible resilience. I had terrible relentlessness when it came to my fitness. And so I allowed that soreness to prevent me from going to the next class. Like, who has had an experience like that? Maybe it was in cooking. Maybe it was in health. Maybe it was in relationships. But it's like you walked in and you were so like, I almost think like wide-eyed and dreamy about how awesome everything's going to be when you finally do the thing. And then reality hits you. It's like, oh my God, I didn't know about the lactic acid buildup, especially when you're super out of shape. I didn't know about hydration. I didn't know about nutrition. I did not know what I did not know. And as I started to learn these things, I'm like, oh my God, mastery in this area is going to take effort, pain, suffering. Oh no. And it sucks, right? This is a very uplifting Monday Live, just in case you were wondering. I'm really working on my optimism and all of that. But jokes aside, I had to learn how to become resilient. I had to learn how to develop that, because guess what? When you first start, sometimes your results are going to be insanely flashy, but most of the time, the first thing you try is going to be a dumpster fire. And it sucks because I think people say this a lot, but they don't say the rest of it. Is that in order to get to predictably good results, you have to be able to endure sucky ones, right? Because it's not your perfection that is going to activate your skill sets and activate your persona, your message, your ability. It's your persistence and your practice, your deliberate practice that allows you to accept the failure, accept the learning from the failure. Ding, ding, ding. That's really, really important, right? It's not just because I think resiliency, you can kind of accept a failure, but you can sort of resign to it. You know what I mean? Does anybody have a friend like that? Shout out, I have a friend who it's just they hit the wall, they hit this obstacle or this roadblock, and then it knocks them back because of course, right? But then they're just never mind. They just kind of lay there in a puddle, and you're you believe in your friends, so you're kind of get up, but they've resigned themselves. They resign, right? So that's generally a lower level of resilience. And what I did not know until I knew is that resilience is a skill like anything else. Your ability to persevere, your ability to pick yourself up. So when I'm measuring my resilience, I'm not measuring whether I fell down, because I'm going to fall down, right? I measure how fast I bounce up. So when I get bad news, and it's 9:00 in the morning on a Monday, and I get that email that makes my heart sink, right? Or I get that phone call that I'm like, oh no, something bad happens. Am I good by 10 a.m.? Or did that just destroy my whole day? Or did that destroy my whole week? Or did that destroy my whole year? Some of you, that knockdown that you keep having, it's keeping you on the floor. And other people had the same knockdown. And this is I love you, but you need to know this. Other people had the same knockdown and worse. And they are much further along with getting back on the saddle, getting back against, their plans and their goals and their challenges. And I am not saying that to make you feel guilty. I am saying that to activate your understanding that resilience is something you develop by getting back up, by continuing on, by choosing yes. Shout out yes, okay? You're trading that sucky feeling for the feeling of activation towards the goal. Because the truth is, you're going to have so much flow by making steady progress against your goal, steady, measurable progress against your goal, versus waiting for some external force to give it to you, okay? So, and look, this is counterintuitive. And to prove it to you, take a look at how big some of the lotteries are. How many billions of dollars are going through lotteries all the time? Why? Because people would rather pick up a ticket and have their favorite 7 numbers or whatever as they go and pick up their gas and hope that the odds just kind of land in their favor. The thing is the odds are so bad with the lottery that literally those $2 going to a coffee or those $2 going to something else that gives your life meaning is probably better than continuing to invest in a gamble, right? Or $2 towards a course or $2 towards a book. You know what I mean? Like those $2, when you learn how to do the things that create more predictable results in your future because you've actually skilled up, it's incomparable. But most people want it now, and they want it with no work, and they want it with no learning, and they want it with no question, no rejection, no resistance whatsoever. And when you just sort of understand that, like, everybody's wired like that. Everybody wants to avoid pain. Everybody wants to avoid inconvenience and suffering. Everybody wants to have a lot of certainty about their future. They want to know exactly what's going to happen in the future. And, you know, they generally don't want to work. Just generally. Like, that's all people. That's me. That's you. That's everybody. So the thing is, though, if you want to be a coach, your job, literal actual job, is to be someone who perseveres, to be someone who figures out how to work smarter, right? So it's not about avoiding the work. It's about making the work worth it. Is the work giving you freedom? Is the work giving you financial freedom? Is the work giving you a sense of purpose and cause, right? Or is the work just like something you have to do? I like those 5 letters, HAFTA, have to, hate HAFTAs. I don't love HAFTAs, right? And also what I found is to have less HAFTA in my life, then I get to activate more resilience and more relentlessness, okay? So here's some ideas to really just help you. And I actually have this on screen with my folks here in the Clients Over Chaos community. So that's over at next5number5clients.com if you want to check that out. I pushed behind me, changing buttons. This is what happens when you get fancy. You sing to all the people while you push the buttons, and you get your screen up to par. We sing and getting the screen ready. I'll spare you singing. Okay, here we go. So I put together this idea of, yeah, thank you. Bet you didn't think you were going to get some Broadway on a Monday, but hey, here we are. Okay, mastering resilience in coaching. I really want you to have some ideas that you can actionably do to help you activate, okay? So the first big idea is just really understand, even if you're following a linear, that means step-by-step process, the journey overall is not linear because you're going to have to loop back and try again. You're going to have to go up and down and up and down and up and down that framework to optimize what you're doing so that it actually produces the results that you're looking for with a level and degree of predictability, right? That comes from building skill set. That comes from building capability. That's from building relational equity, like building equity in the relationships that you have. That is a key skill for coaches, absolutely key. All right. So when you realize that it's a lot of ups and downs, you can just know that there's going to be some challenges, and don't be scared of it, just like it is. It is. If you expect those challenges that test your commitment and your resilience, then you're going to be way further along. Second big habit that's really, really actionable is journal your growth. So I started journaling years ago, and I was really sporadic about it. I wasn't great at it. And when I say journaling, most people tell me like, I tried that once. I know, boo. You got to find something that actually works for you. So for me, I like to use Growth Day. Growth Day is an app that has like my personal development in it and all of those good things. So let's see. I think I might have a link for Growth Day, or if you want it, just, oh, there it is. Haha. I just had to be patient. Okay. I just popped it in the chat inside of Clients Over Chaos. If you're seeing this somewhere else, just make sure that you DM me Growth Day, and I'll make sure I send you the link to try it out with a free trial. Journaling every day, reflecting every day, it allows you to really see your evolution of identity. It allows you to really affirm the things that are going great so you can live in greater gratitude. And it also helps you identify the opportunities, the bottlenecks, the stressors, so that you can choose your transformation as opposed to feeling like you are a victim of it, right? We don't want victim mindset, and we all get into it. I know there's a lot of gurus that are all like, never be a victim. It's like, okay, we all get into different kinds of mindsets because our mindsets change throughout the day and our lived experience. I actually think, and this is my opinion on it, that a victim mentality now and again is a very healthy thing because everybody hates it. No one wants to be a victim in the long term. And when you journal, it allows you to identify recurring themes, recurring ideas that keep tripping you up. And then you get to ask for help. You get to enroll the help of a coach. You get to enroll the help of a therapist. You get to enroll the help of reading more books on the subject so you don't feel quite so helpless in that area anymore. I'm a huge fan of journaling. I think it is the one single thing that I have done over my life that has truly transformed it. Okay. If this is helpful, just shout out why in the chat. The third thing that I really recommend for you to really get the most out of your efforts towards resilience and relentlessness is celebrate those efforts. One of the reasons that I know I have been slower to grow than I want to grow, and a lot of my clients struggle with this as well, is that they never celebrate the in-between. They never celebrate they're always living in the land of sadness about results. Yes, if your internet is like crappy and you can't see the slides, I'm going to ask the team to post this in the Clients Over Chaos community so then everybody can have it completely for free. And you can download it, you can print it, you can put it somewhere that you're going to see it. You can, I believe I even have a PNG version. You could even make it a screensaver on your desktop. That's a great idea. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate this community. Yeah. Okay, so, oh no, it's kind of crappy for everybody. Well, we're just going to work through it. Might be my feed. Well, let me move. Instagram was doing Wi-Fi too. So let's see if I can improve that. Oakley dokley. Well, let's keep going. So the third thing that you can do is protect your energy. Okay, protect your energy. And by third thing, I said fourth thing. I got confused because I was like, my slides aren't working and I got distracted. I guess I need to activate my relentlessness and stay focused. So when it comes to why this is important, so the yellow was the things you can do. The green is going to be why this is so super important. When it comes to being successful in the long term with a coaching business, the number one asset that you absolutely must protect is your energy. Your energy, yours personally. So do you have the vibrancy and the physical ability to show up in the discipline your business will demand, right? Like I'm here every Monday, 9:00, every single week. And it's because I have really great energy management. And by the way, I'm not even the best at this. I have no 6-pack abs. I do not drink kale or smoothies or whatever, right? I'm fairly basic in this, but I have recognized that it's also my greatest limitation because if you're in a bad mood, you tend to make bad decisions, And when I say bad mood, I mean a sad mood, an angry mood, frustrated mood, anxious mood, whatever. You tend to make lower quality decisions than if you're in a positive psychology. Right? So protecting your energy is number one. The second reason why this resiliency and this relentless energy and this activation towards your goals is so super important is because you will make so much more impact if you can lead a movement with energy. So for an example that just happened to happen just today, my community was like, Amanda, your internet is a little choppy and you use tiny print. Can you please post it in the community? I didn't have to think of that, right? Community members thought of that. And then they thought to say that. And because we've got good energy in the community, then it's like, it's better than the sum of its parts, And for a long time, I thought as a coach, it was all about this linear funnel thing where it's like, I do step one and then you do step one and then I do step two and you do step two and then I do step three. And, very funnel kind of a characteristic of what you need to do to get clients, which is true on an individual level. But for you to build like a sustainable business where you're getting more than 5 clients, you need to have an ecosystem. Being the leader of a movement completely shifts how you interact and enroll in the world. And it is way more attractive because you're not like Elmer Fudd from Looney Tunes looking for his Wesky Webbit, right? Like you are someone who can move through the world with confidence and grace. You have your own community, so you don't ever have to feel like you're, sneaking into other people's groups and sliding into the DMs and hoping that somebody will buy from you. Like, that's so ick. And I thought that that was what you had to do because a lot of people, like there are a lot of people who will tell you, oh, just go into other people's Facebook groups, go into other people's coaching programs. And I was like, ew, right? I don't want that. I want to have my own platform, my own place, my own space where people can choose to escalate and accelerate, or they can choose to just hang here. And I can have no judgment for that. You know what I'm saying? And what's crazy is my business actually became way more profitable when I did that because it didn't cost me so much to get a client because it wasn't so needy. Okay. Neediness and scarcity is like absolutely a repellent. It's like mosquito repellent, but for clients. The other reason you really want to work on having the journaling, celebrating your efforts, making sure you understand that this is an up and down and sideways and inside out kind of a mission that you're on, is that it allows you to shift your perspective on the setbacks. And it allows you to see what do you learn and how can you grow? And then as a coach, that actually increases your market value. You see that? Now, I'm not saying like run around and just be a hot mess and don't try to get better. That's not what I'm saying. But what I am saying is that the more mileage you can get in your area, the more it's going to succeed. Okay, so shift those perspectives. Let's come back to the normal view. I just had to go there. Okay. You didn't get a long song because the button was super, super handy. So today we've been talking about your resilience and your resentment, and not your resentment, your relentlessness. Please don't be resentful of what I taught you today, but hey, I can't help it. That's your choice. You're entitled to your opinion. Okay. So I want to just reflect back to you that you don't have to stay living in second guessing yourself. If you feel like it is Monday, thank you. Appreciate your grace. So you don't have to stay stuck. Like this week really can be the week that you activate a whole nother level of your being, a whole nother level. And like the big secret is you got to let go of that thing that you still feel guilty about, of that thing that you still feel weak about, of that thing that you still feel unconfident about. It's time to bless and release that and let it leave behind the footprint of a lesson. Just let it do that. And I find it really helpful because like when people tell me to just stop doing something, I'm like, okay, and I have a hard time stopping. What helps me more is when I trade. So what thought are you having that's keeping you really low and slow? And what would you like to trade it for? Right? What is the empowering thought? What is the activating thought? What is the forward momentum reminder that you need to activate? And I'm serious. What is it? Let me know in the chat. What is that reminder to yourself? You're going to trade the victim headspace or the sadness headspace or the anger conflict headspace. So like if you've been in resentment, like that's the opposite of resilient, right? So if you've been in resentment, what's a resentment you're going to let go? You're going to forgive. You're going to let them be them and you're going to let you do you. So what is that reminder or that thing you're going to tell yourself and you just do it again and again, like literally 50 times a day, as many times as you can. What is the trade? What are you going to activate instead? That's how I've developed so much resilience is I've recognized the value of a trade. I've recognized that what has happened in the past is in the past, right? There's literally nothing you can do about something that is in the past. And in fact, there's nothing you can do about the certainty of the future except to have certainty in today and what you know today and what you can activate today. And the more that you can activate your presence, you're going to look up and you're going to look back to where you were 6 months from now. You're going to look up and you're going to look today and you're going to go, oh my God, I'm living that future that I wanted 6 months ago. But it's because you chose to leave behind the habits of resentment, the habits of deflection and failure and like all of these kinds of things. Does that make sense? So if you're up for these reminders, shout a Y in the chat. You're going to do it. You're going to activate. And I am going to be back next week for our next training, which is going to be how and when to change your coaching niche. So we're going to be talking about purposeful pivoting. So how and when to change your coaching niche. This is a big one because a lot of people, they don't get any kind of traction or momentum with their first 5 clients. And so then they think, oh, well, maybe I'm going in the wrong direction. It might be that, but it might be something else. So I'm going to take you through a thought process next week to see whether there's an opportunity to pivot on purpose. And we will see you next time. And again, don't forget to join us in the free group, next5clients.com. That's next number 5clients.com. See you soon.